Hello, I'm Mark, the ghost.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Patrick.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about older Teslas and their performance to this point. But first, Casey's going to roll that title for us.
All right, here we go.
You're watching the Tesla Life Express.
Everyone, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate you being out there. Wanted to talk a little bit about this article that we've linked below. And this one is concerning Tesla and a Model S that was purchased after the fact, 11 years. So this is a used Model S that was purchased for a pretty good deal. It has about, 100,000 miles on the vehicle. They have had, the vehicle has the original battery. And its real world range today is quite surprising, as they indicate in the video and, of course, in the article. But Casey, what did you think about we believe this is an 85, a 2014 85, is that correct?
85 rear-wheel drive, right before the release of the D. We can tell it doesn't have the Autopilot 1 radar or camera, looking at the photo.
And now we don't.
And this is impressive because it's on the original battery, which is not common for these long life vehicle stories. And what you're looking at is what they say, 12% degradation, which isn't bad at all.
No, it's not.
That's pretty much just the ravages of time, rather than using it for like any heavy miles or charging or anything. So,
Patrick, you looked up the stats on what that battery would be brand new. What was that?
Right. It had a 265-mile range originally for the Model S 85 rear-wheel drive, which is what I think this vehicle is. And if we're seeing, 12% degradation, I can't do the math, subtract, 27 miles from that. And so it's still over 200 miles of range. And that price, they bought it for $13,000. And so this is one thing that's cool about now. We've heard people for almost the entire time EVs have been available to purchase. Oh, they're too expensive. They're too expensive.
Right.
Well, now that they've been out for this long, we're actually getting a decent used vehicle market, and you can buy a Model S for less than $15,000. Okay, it's out of warranty, and yes, there's going to be some degradation, and you won't have the latest FSD or maybe none at all. But that's okay if you're buying a car to drive it. And you're getting such a good deal on it, that's okay. Are there going to be more maintenance issues than a new car? Sure, that's the case anytime you buy a used vehicle. And if this battery does have significant problems, well, okay, you're going to sell it for scrap. You're going to lose some money on it, but that's okay because you didn't spend $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 on it like you would have for a new one.
Yeah, or over 100 for depending on the trim. And it's kind of cool on this is look at it like compare it to other used cars. You're going to compare it against the S-Class or a large body BMW, and yes, this thing may have some stuff you need to work on. It's going to cost typically less than those other things. Now you will need to have a computer at your home shop to work that, but you still would for those other cars as well. It's just less to wrench on without the computer, but that computer subscription for the home use is actually a little more accessible, and that's pretty cool too. And then you've got the safety, and I mean this is the vehicle that had 5.5 elephants piled on top of its glass roof before breaking the testing machine. So if you were to put a teenager in it or somebody off to college, you don't have to feel like, oh my goodness, did I do the right thing for my family? Yeah, they'll be fine. Just turn on the mode for not the valet mode, but the teenager mode where you're
teen
not
mode. Yeah, so you want to restrict the acceleration and the top speed so that because you don't want to give a teen a vehicle that with the performance of a Tesla, they could end up you know, at that age, you think you're immortal and you can do all kinds of stuff. And if you give them too much horsepower, it's going to turn out poorly. Even in a very, very safe vehicle like a Tesla, you still don't want to slam it into a tree at 120 miles an hour.
Right. Those older ones were 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. That is way more powerful than any hypercar that you could have got them for that kind of price. Not that you could get them a hypercar for that price, but like a sports car, like vroom vroom is fast.
Right. Yeah, Tesla changed that whole 0 to 60 time. Like 6 seconds used to be great, and now it's relatively slow. So it's funny how that changed.
Yeah.
I hear an EV come out and it's got a 6 seconds 0 to 60. I'm like, well, at least they're going for the Camry market.
Our Prius, it was 11 seconds. I mean, it was
0 to 60. Yes.
Eventually. That's possible.
We've seen that. Yes.
Yeah, I think mine was 11 or 10, and then the Volt brought it down to what, 8 or 7 there, Mark?
Yeah.
Short of 9, and then right after that, it's like I'm in a whole other territory here.
Yeah, you went to Speedville after that for sure.
Right.
Yes.
In what year did the Model 3s come out? Was that 2017?
17. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple years, they'll be getting into this 10-year-old category, and those would be a great first car for a teen driver, a 10-year-old Model 3. So
Or
cool
if you
thing
today for the used car credit, do all 3 now while they still are actively making parts for it. It changes your calculus a little bit if you get that $4,000 off. You don't have to wait till you can get it at 8, 7.
Yeah, it's almost like you're able to get that same price today as opposed to waiting another 3 years. So it's you can definitely see that that you're right, Patrick. These cars are going to start falling into that where they're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And as the pricing was on this Model S, we can definitely see a huge reduction in Model 3s. And of course, the volume of Model 3s out there is so much higher than what the S's or X's were or are. So it's certainly going to be something that will also favor the consumer because there's going to be many more of them.
Yeah, and not only does it have easier tools to work with on the home shop, the Musk haircuts of 2018, 2017, and any other ones in there where we're just going to randomly let go this many people across the company. They often included technicians, either mobile technicians or technicians from the shop. And what do? Well, I've been working on cars all my life. I know this car, and it doesn't have enough of service availability, and I don't have to come home with greasy hands every night. And so let me open up a shop for these because I can undercut the manufacturer, and I've got their training at the factory. Let me just do this. And I know a couple of techs, both mobile and from the shop, that have made themselves a living from doing this. There's a couple famous ones from the Roadster days. Same situation. That was just we stopped making the thing. So you don't have to take it to the dealership. You don't have to take it back to the factory store for everything. You can do some at home if you're handy, and if you're not handy, there are independent mechanics who can work on a Model 3. S as well, but depending on where you are, that might be harder to find. But with the 3 and the Y, you can find these people in any city of the country.
Right. And with the right to repair laws that some states have been passing, that forces the catalogs and parts manuals and all that stuff to be made available to independent shops, which is a great thing to see.
Yeah. And then on the same older Model S vein, I was reading a story on Reddit this morning about somebody who purchased a 2013 Model 3. Model S. And it had the unlimited supercharging for life tied to the car. So not the life of the owner, not the life of the first owner, the life of the car. So this guy picked up for $2,200 at the auto auction because it had no key. Nobody wanted to mess with how do I put a key on this car that doesn't have a keyhole. And probably because without the key, you can't plug it in to charge it, right? So for $2,200 and a tow, plus probably $150 for the key fob, unless he already had one, and knew a guy to reprogram it, boom.
Yeah, what a deal. So, it certainly pays for being knowledgeable about the subject and what is actually out there and is required to get these vehicles running. But again, I think the Model 3 era is really going to change things just because
absolutely.
the volume is going to be there. And I think the prices of, as we saw in this particular article, just above $10,000. You're going to start seeing Model 3s under 10,000, I believe. I don't think that's going to be much of a stretch.
And it's got their modern architecture, so there's none of this like weird cobbled togetherness. Like I said, it's going to be the easiest one for you to work on. It's going to be the easiest one for your mechanic to work on.
Exactly.
So how would you go about checking battery degradation if you were going to buy a used older Tesla?
So on the older ones, it's a little bit harder to do. But on the Model 3, there's a button on the dash in service mode. And in fact, depending on which update you got, it's not even in service mode anymore. It's just in the service screen of the main interface. You say, test the battery, and it'll drain it down from wherever it's at. So drain it down already just by driving it. And then it'll drain it down to 0, and it'll charge it back up. And then it'll give you a calculation. Hey, there's this much wear and tear on the battery.
Have you guys done that test on your cars yet?
Mine's too old for that.
Okay.
I have not, but I do use Teslafy, and Teslafy gives you a battery degradation estimate based on your normal usage with the battery, so you don't have to go through that whole test. I'm sure if you did the test, it would be more accurate. I think it takes 24 hours to do the test because it drains and fully charges the battery.
Yes.
Multiple times, maybe, I don't know, but it's not it's not like, oh, you press a button and get a number, which is what I do have from Teslafy, so that's kind of handy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Teslafy and Tesla Scope will both do that. I think Tessie will do it as well. And if you're like me, a little bit more nerdy, I've got a connection into the network of the car, and it'll just tell me straight up I've got 8% degradation right there on the spot. And,
right. I used to run Tesla Spy, and and that just, it gives you information off the CAN bus.
Yeah, and so that's one thing you could do if you have the right wiring harness, and if the owner of the vehicle doesn't mind you. Well, I guess you would only need to do it on the SNX. So if the owner of the vehicle doesn't mind you pulling down the bottom trim underneath the screen, the reason I say that is when you inspect, you shouldn't be removing pieces. So
yeah, the owner has to know. It's not an inspection if you're pulling things apart, really. Like the owner's going to have to be aware of something like that.
Yeah, and you could break a clip if you did it too forcefully or did it wrong, or maybe the clip is just old and it's never been done before.
Yeah.
Or when you're putting it back in, if you don't get it just right, you might slip a knuckle and bust the screen or something. So as long as they know what you're doing and you are comfortable doing it, then
well, let's ask the audience out there that's watching this: would you be comfortable in purchasing a used Tesla, either S or 3, when it gets into the plus 9-year mark? Does that make any sense to you? Would you have hesitation in buying a 9-year-old or 10-year-old S compared to a 9 or 10-year-old, say, Model 3? Is there any difference in that? Do you think that one would be better over the other, or do you think that both are equal? Let us know in the comments as to what you think. And if you have done that, maybe you're on the lookout and you're watching the prices. What have you seen out there as you're monitoring the situation?
So I did buy, my first Tesla was used. It was a 2016 Model S 90D. And it worked out pretty well, but it was still also the current car.
How old was it when you bought it, though? Was that 3 years old?
Not even. It was like a year or two. It was right before mine had the guppy face, and it was right before they went to the new slick streamline look. So
yeah, so a year or so, I would say, is a lot less of a possibility of things being wrong, because you even got some of the warranty with that. But I'm saying out of warranty, 9 years. What do you think?
So personally, on the same car, but older, I would get it for around town, and if I wanted something as a daily driver, I would personally go with the 3 and Y for all the reasons we talked about here on the show today.
Very good. With that, I think we're going to wrap it up. But Casey, any shout-outs?
yeah, catch us on Wednesday for our live show.
That's right. Coming up. Patrick, anything from you?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, where I write about my future free from fossil fuels.
Awesome. And I will endeavor to get my video working for the next one, but no promises. We'll see what we can do. Thanks, everyone, for watching. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up, press that subscribe button, and follow us on X if you like to see what's happening during the week. Look up at the Tesla Life and subscribe to that, and we'll see you out there, and together we'll find out what's happening at the next Tesla Life.